Nobody's on yet. Hello. So what I'm gonna do is send the link out to everybody.
Okay.
Hopefully the sound is good. It sounds like it from my phone.
I'll turn my volume off on my phone.
Okay, I sent the link out to everyone. So I don't have the fancy program right now because it's giving some horrible back feed in the sound, and I noticed that when we did Tuesday's first camp Paradise Weekly. We did Tuesday's first. Yeah, now my wife got me messed up because she had her phone up to our first camp Paradise Weekly. When she did the live spots, it was like talking in a can and had an awful background. And so it's the program. So I'm going to have to go figure that program out this week and before Sunday and definitely before Tuesday. She's been distracting me because she keeps putting her phone up there. But anyways, so this sounds a lot better from what I can tell. It doesn't have that can sound, but I don't have the fancy graphics that I can do with the other program. So this is going to be kind of not as fancy as last week's with songs that get us booted off or whatever. But as you can see behind us is our bulletin board, which shows our family that we are one. And I think that's kind of an important statement right now that we all should stand as one. One family, one faith, one hope, one God. And so we are going to look at Hebrews 12, 4 through 29 today. It talks about several topics, but the one we're going to focus on today is basically that afterwards. That, you know, as we come through the issues that we've had the first 6 months of 2020, I think God's got big plans in store for us as Christians in the afterwards of 2020. And I pray that a lot of the stuff is behind us as we go forward, and this is God's afterwards that we will be looking to. How many people do we have? Anybody on? It kind of sounds annoying, but I don't want to get into big topics before anybody is on. And it looks like we have nobody on yet, right? Like I said before, when you come on, if you are able to put something in the text box, go ahead and do that. You know, that way we know. That way we know that you're there. If you have any questions on the topic we're looking at, please put that. Or if you can't put a comment in the box and you are on our text groups, send a text and ask that question. Or, I mean, we've had people call in like a radio show. So if you have a question or want us to clarify anything, put a comment in or call us or text us, send us the email, Smoke Signal, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, leave a message on our webpage, our Facebook page, all those different kinds of ways of communicating now. And we'll answer you back as soon as we can. I can hear my phone, so it's kind of annoying. But I want to see it because I want to make sure we're still in there. So it shows that the two people on, I think that's me and my wife that are on. But I guess if you need the announcements, you can look at them go back and look at them. But our announcements this week are kind of exciting announcements.
Yes.
After 3 months of not being able to congregate in our building, this Sunday we are going to be open at we're going to be open, but it's going to be different than we're used to. One of the things that's different is we're going to start church at 10:30, and hopefully we will conclude at 12 o'clock because we have a 2-hour window that we're looking at to be in, what's the word I want to look for, contact with each other. We'll try to keep this 6 feet distance. We'll wear a mask when we're not on stage. And as you come in, we will have hand sanitizers for you to use on your hands. And as you leave, lunch will be a to-go lunch. We will serve lunch, but it will be to-go. One of the things we were talking about, and I know this is going to kind of upset a few people, but it'll only be for a few weeks, is that we will close off the fellowship hall, so there will be no coffee. We'll try to have bottled water available for those who need something to drink, but the coffee, the Keurig will be kind of off limits until we get through this phase 2. So some of y'all who have to have your coffee, you might have to bring it with you. Also, I've said this several times, but we are not picking up in June because of the distancing issue. So if you normally get a ride from us and you want to come to church, you will have to find your own transportation to get here on Sunday. And once again, it starts at 10:30. And if you all were on here on Sunday, I gave you all homework, and the homework was to come up with at least 5 ways you found God or saw God in these last 3 months. And so there will be a time at the beginning of the service Sunday to share those.
I think 5 is a lot.
Well, it's just,
That could take a long time.
well, they don't have to, they could just list it. They don't have to, tell, they don't have to be like me and tell like an hour's worth of things for it. But they could just pick one or something. But, 5 was the homework. They don't have to tell all 5, but at least one thing from your 5. You could just tell what your 5 are and give one more explanation of one of them. Because some of them might mean more than the others to you. And so that was your homework for this week. And so Sunday, 10:30, we'll do those devotions and hopefully testimonies. Sorry. And hopefully by, say, 10:50 maybe, hopefully by 11 o'clock, we will start our normal service or start into the meat of the service. Well, that will be. Testimonies are a good meat, sir. But was your homework for this week, and we're looking for that. We have 21 seats in the chapel that are spread out. So if we have 22 people, then you have to stand out in the hallway or something. But no? Okay.
We'll find a seat.
Well, we'll put a seat out in the hallway for you, but we have 21 seats in the chapel. The regulations is 25, and we can't really do 25 and keep it at 6 feet. So that's the what's happening. So we will see you this Sunday as we open up. And if you were on here Saturday,
And a reminder
what?
that they have to have their own transportation.
I said that. Where were you at?
I remember you saying that.
I said
okay.
that. Yeah, I said they had to find their own way here to get
That's
here.
what you did say, no pickups. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hope y'all paying better attention than she is, and she's sitting right next to me.
Well, it just helps to go over it again.
I'm lost now. What I was going to say. Oh. No, I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
Something about what I reminded them Sunday. Oh, the sermon series that we'll be looking into as we come back into the building. We're going to be looking at the I am statements of Jesus. We just finished the 7 weeks of the names of God that Jehovah's. And the first one, if you remember, was Jehovah, which means I am. And so we will look at the over the next 7 weeks, look at Jesus's I am statements. And we will start off with I am the bread of life from John. And they're all from John. So if you want to do a little homework and studying, then read the book of John and you find the I am statements in there. But we'll start on that on this Sunday with that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and jump into our Bible study. I still don't see anybody on. I guess nobody wanted to hear us talk today. But
I just want to say, I don't know about y'all, but I am excited about Sunday. That we'll all get to congregate together and worship together.
You're not as excited as April Calvin usually is when she talks about something she's excited. She usually goes, woohoo! Act like we're on a...
We're cheerleaders.
Yeah. So
We're excited about Sunday.
We are excited about Sunday. On top of that, though, the one thing is, because we are open and we'll be doing to-go lunches, we will not be taking lunches to people starting this Sunday. They'll have to come to church to get a meal. But and then after church, we'll be heading over. Me and my wife will be heading over to the South Campus for the graduation celebration. They have 5 graduates?
Yes.
5 graduates this year from high school, which is awesome. But it's sad to know that the kids can't have a real graduation this year, or hopefully
Not
later.
Just high school. There's
some college too. That's even cooler. So we will be taking part in a caravan of a parade to celebrate the graduates at the South Campus Core as we drive around their parking lot going, woohoo! Okay. Is that funny? Okay, that excites you. So last week we looked at Hebrews 11 through 12 and through chapter 12, verse 3. And today we're going to finish up chapter 12 by looking at Hebrews chapter 12, verses 4 through 29. I think that's what my eyes told me. I didn't have my glasses on. And you may see me look to my side. It's because if you know the core, you know where we're filming from. The window and the door's right there. So I'm kind of like looking at squirrels as they go by.
He's distracted.
Yeah, I'm distracted. But I thought the light would be better in here than where we've been at. I'm just trying to show different areas of the core that some of y'all haven't seen in a while. And you can look at our beautiful pictures up here. Let me see. Right there's Reagan. And Reagan, if you didn't know, had her baby. He's about a month old now, isn't he?
Yes.
He's cute.
5 weeks.
He's so cute. And there is me right there. And there is Captain Alyssa. If you've been paying attention to Facebook and have Facebook on, you can see their cute little one. They keep showing pictures of her eating. I don't know why that's, but she keeps shooting.
It's an important milestone for her.
She is a cutie as well. And then if you look right there, that's our daughter, Victoria, who none of y'all, well, maybe I shouldn't say none of y'all come to church, know her, but if you're, us other than from church, then from here, Victoria is about to pop, is what I can say. She's shared some pictures on Facebook, and I shared one or two of them yesterday, so if you go to my Facebook and look. But she's about ready to deliver our first grandchild.
Woo!
Woohoo! Woo! Okay. And so sometime this month, we will be making a trip to West Virginia and to visit with them. Hopefully, maybe just before she goes into the hospital, but we'll be there to welcome
Brinley
Karen.
Collins.
Well, I'm gonna call CK. All right, I'm gonna call her CK that way.
CK.
No, BK, because I like Burger King, and she'll remind me of Burger King. She'll be a Whopper.
No.
She'll be a Whopper. Yeah. And so we'll be going to welcome our grandchild into this world, and so that's what's happening. That's the announcements. You got any other announcements?
No, even though it should be a given, just a reminder that the transportation is you have to provide your own transportation both ways. We're not just not picking up, we're not taking home either. So it's just that reminder.
Okay.
So just
And
to make
I-
sure it's clear.
All right. And I got a reminder, we won't be picking up this Sunday or taking home. Just that it's clear. But we really are excited to be able to welcome you back into our chapel and
Yes.
to celebrate this milestone as we hopefully get back to a new normal, or to somewhat of a normal as we come through this storm. And it was a long storm, 3 months. So we will get started. I'm going to ask my wife. So once again, we're looking at Hebrews and Hebrews 12. I was going to tell a dad joke, but I decided not to. Hebrews 12, 4 through 29. And she is reading from the NIV version. So I did that. The NIV. So if you would follow along with her as she looks at those words.
Starting Hebrews chapter 12, starting with verse 4. In your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood. And have you completely forgotten this word of encouragement that addresses you as a father addresses his son? It says, "My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines the one he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his son. Endure hardship as discipline. God is treating you as his children. For what children are not disciplined by their father? If you are not disciplined, and everyone undergoes discipline, then you are not legitimate, not true sons and daughters at all. Moreover, we have all had human fathers who disciplined us, and we respected them for it. How much more should we submit to the Father of spirits and live? They disciplined us for a little while as they thought best, but God disciplines us for our good, in order that we may share in his holiness. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. Therefore, strengthen your feeble arms and weak knees. Make level paths for your feet, so that the lame may be disabled, but rather healed, or may not be disabled, but rather healed. Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. See that no one is sexually immoral or is godless like Esau, who for a single meal sold his inheritance rights as the oldest son. Afterward, as you know, when he wanted to inherit this blessing, he was rejected. Even though he sought the blessing with tears, he could not change what he had done. You have not come to a mountain that can be touched and that is burning with fire, to darkness, gloom, and storm, to a trumpet blast, or to such a voice speaking words that those who heard it begged that no further word be spoken to them, because they could not bear what was commanded. If even an animal touches the mountain, it should be stoned to death. The sight was so terrifying that Moses said, "I am trembling with fear." But you have come to Mount Zion, to the city of the living God, the heavenly Jerusalem. You have come to thousands upon thousands of angels and joyful assembly, to the church of the firstborn, whose names are written in heaven. You have come to God, the judge of all, to the spirits of the righteous made perfect, to Jesus, the mediator of a new covenant, and to the sprinkled blood that speaks a better word than the blood of Abel. See to it that you do not refuse him who speaks. If they did not escape when they refused him who warned them on earth, how much less will we, if we turn away from him who warns us from heaven? At that time his voice shook the earth, but now he has promised, "Once more I will shake not only the earth but also the heavens." The words "once more" indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe, for our God is a consuming fire. Amen.
Let us go to the Lord in prayer, and then we will look at our devotion, go over some of the highlights of our scripture, and then we will say good evening. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come before you today with thanksgiving. We think of the storms that we have endured these last couple of months, Lord, and we just are waiting for the storm to pass. That way we can see your afterwards, to see your glory shining in those times that we couldn't see them, that because the clouds were too dark or the winds were too strong that we couldn't see you sparkle in those times, Lord. But as we come out of the clouds and out of the darkness into the sunshine, we can see the shininess of what you have done, your goodness in the storm. Lord, we just thank you for this lesson in Hebrews that we just heard. May it bless our hearts, Lord. And Lord, I just lift up those that are listening to this message and listen to your word today, that you bless them in many ways. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
So I've been doing our devotions from a book called Streams in the Desert. And it's kind of funny because what we're doing is called streaming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of, we're not streaming from a desert, but the book is called Streaming from or in the Desert, because sometimes we feel like, well, just like I was talking about, the storms in our life can be deserts. It doesn't have to be rain and clouds and winds blowing, but it may feel like, everything's dried up and there's nothing alive around, and whatever things that when you think of the word desert, you may feel. But, if you take time and you look, the desert is alive. Have you ever been to the desert? No. The only desert I've been to is when we went to Mexico and we had to drive through a section of Mexico to get to one town, and it was really beautiful. The rocks were giant, and it was a beautiful place because we were inside of a van with some sort of air conditioning in it and didn't have to face it. But I could only imagine if I was in that place on foot, walking for days with no water and stuff, how the desert may feel. But people have lived in deserts for thousands and thousands of years, and Scripture tells us that when Jesus wanted to go clear his head after his baptism, he went into the desert and spent 40 days in the desert. And then we also read about John the Baptist, as he spent much of his ministry ministering out in the desert. So sometimes, it's just like the storm. The desert's the same thing. If you look, you don't even have to look hard. You can find that it's not as bad as we think it is. So I'm going to read a devotion that mostly focuses on verse 11 that my wife read, where it talks about, yes.
Can you turn the light on?
Yeah, let me turn the light on. Let's see if that works any better. Didn't help at all.
It did.
Did it? Can y'all tell if it worked or not? We have one more viewer on, I think. And they're being silent, though, so we don't know who it is. But our devotion from the Streams in the Desert says this. There is a legend that tells of a German baron who had his castle on the Rhine, stretching wires from tower to tower that the winds might convert them into a giant harp. And the soft breeze played about the castle, but no music was born. But one night there arose a great tapestry, and the cloud hills in the castle were smitten by the fury of mighty winds. The baron went to the threshold to look upon the horror of the storm, and the harp was filling the air with strains that rung out even above the chaos of the tempest. It needed the tempest to bring out the music. And we, not knowing men who've lived, have not given out any embracing music in the day of calm prosperity. but who, when the tempest drove against them, have accomplished their fellows by the power and strength of their music. We are in the Music City. We lost our one viewer we had, but we live in the Music City, and many artists will tell you that they had to go through some suffering, had to go through some trial, had to go through stuff in their music to become great music musicians. Right. I think of one of my most favorite illustrations of the violin at the auction. It was an old beat up violin at the auction, and the auctioneer was calling off, and he had to keep going down on his number, and nobody was bidding on this violin, this beat up, tarnished violin, until an older gentleman comes out of the crowd and he picks up the violin and he starts playing the most beautiful music that they've ever heard at the auction. And as the auctioneer goes back, the money increases for this tattered old violin. And finally somebody said, well, what was the difference? Why did it go from worthless to worth all this money? And someone said, because it was in the hands of the master. And we are in the hands of the master. And these times in the desert, and these times in the storms of life, the master, we find ourselves in his hands. And it's only after we've come out of those times that we see the true master, the beautifulness of our master and what he has done in that. Another part of the devotion that says, rain, rain, beaten against the pane, how endless it pours out of doors from the blackened sky. I wonder why. Flowers, flowers upspringing after showers, blossoming fresh and fair everywhere. Oh, God has explained why it rains. That's beautiful. You know, sometimes it has to rain for the flowers to come out and for the grass to become green. And we have to go through those storms. And then finally, it says, you can always count on God to make the afterwards of difficulties. If rigor rightly outcome, 1,000 times richer and fairer than the forward. Your chastising seemeth joy, endless afterwards. What a yield. The harvest comes after the rains. And so that is our hopes and our thoughts as we go into the summer months of Summer's Reset 2020, that the harvest will be great, since the rains were so great the last couple months, that the churches will be filled. People will be excited, woo, to get into church. Sunday mornings won't be more like, come on, you got to get up and go to church. And somebody going, oh, I don't want to go. And then my wife pokes me again and goes, you're preaching, you have to go. We will go excited because the rain has fallen, the storm has come, and the clouds are parting, and the sun is coming out, and it's time for a great harvest. Looking forward to the afterward that God has for us, and we are in store for this next 6 months of 2020. So we are excited, and we look forward to seeing everybody here that are no more than 20 here. 25, but we had 21 seats. Remember that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we mentioned it, but we won't be picking up Sunday.
Or taking home.
Or taking home, right. And the lunches are to go, and there's no coffee machine. Bring your own coffee.
With the cup that has a lid on it.
Yes, because we don't want it spilling in the chapel. We got to do enough cleaning afterwards. But hopefully we'll have bottled water for those who need something to drink while we're here. And all I can say is we're excited. It's been a long time since we've it's been March 12th. It's right after my birthday. It was our last Sunday here before then. But we'll see y'all then. like I said, if you watch this and you weren't watching it live and you have questions, text us, write us, email us, send us a letter in the mail, certify it if you want a response back, smoke signals, telegram, whatever, however. But just know that after the rain, the flowers come out and the beauty of God's greatness will be seen. We love you guys. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you Sunday.
God bless you all. See you Sunday.